Good morning from Cynthia Rose Healing Arts Sanctuary in sunny Colorado. Okay, so our daily alignment practices I created these to help us become more mindful about how we're interacting in our experience. And we're calling them, I'm going to start calling them Teddy Talks soon because, yeah, they're alignments, but I end up talking a lot. There's not much of an alignment practice, but there's a lot of information that's offered. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Sheldon, Alicia, Naraj, and Lenny. Good morning. Okay, so I have this really delicious concoction here. So it's healthy coffee. Okay, so last night I posed the question for those of you who saw this. I'm going to click on my other screen here, and I was asking for, what would you like to hear me talk about? You like my shirt? Oh, that's great, Sheldon. Okay, because I wanted to actually point my shirt out. So Friday, I'm in love. It's Thursday, so I'm not in love today, but tomorrow I'm gonna be in love. Okay, so get ready for that. You'll feel it. So Friday, I'm gonna be in love. But I'm a little premature. That's okay. I do that sometimes. Expectations. Okay, so I didn't even think about that. So I'm talking today about expectations was kind of the main one that was coming in, and then judgment ties into that as well. So my expectations are for Friday are this. We'll see what happens, and I won't be disappointed if it doesn't happen because I'm already in love with all kinds of things anyway, and people and whatnot. So that's pretty funny. Good morning, everyone. I'm not sure why you're saying sorry, but it's okay. You don't need to say sorry. Hi, Brian and Mark. Okay, so yesterday I was asking for some input on what you might want to hear me talk about. And I had a couple different people. I had a bunch of different people, so I had to pick a couple things. And what I said, like I said earlier, what was popping out at me was the expectations one. And I'll read the question just so you know, because it was my beautiful friend named Meredith. Okay. How do we continue to rise? Oh, no, wait, that's not the right one. Wrong one. Killing our expectations, especially of others. Okay, so this is the languaging that's using killing our expectations that was being used, sorry, especially of others, and then judgment on others, so hard to control sometimes. Okay, so it all kind of deals with our, what we expect of other people, and then how we interact with how they show up, basically, and then that creates the judgment. So it does, it ties in hand. Hi, Brian. Thanks for your comment. This is awesome, right? And I got my posse back. Wait, I almost did the wrong side. I got my posse back here, and then one of the other comments was to remember to have a sense of humor. So I've been having a lot of ridiculous monologue in my head on how I'm going to present this to you in a way that can be fun, because I do like to have fun with things. And I think having said that a lot of the times we get way too serious about this whole thing, and we tend to take ourselves too seriously, and then we're being, I don't know, we're just being about the whole thing. And when we can remember to have a sense of humor about this, and especially as it relates to how we are engaging with our experience, it can be really helpful and enlightening, even. So, okay, what do I want to say about expectations? All right. Oh, good morning, Jeff. Wow, I haven't seen you in, wow, I don't even want to say how long. That's been like another lifetime. Totally. Good to see you on here. Okay, so we're talking about judgment and expectations. And I'm going to start with, this is ridiculous the way that my head works. Okay, so I'm thinking of a scenario. Like, how can I give you a scenario? And I don't know, like kind of like Jesus talking in parables, but I'm going to give you ridiculous stories. Okay, so you've got two people that are rolling down the aisle in the grocery store, and they're in the Mexican food section, and person number one wants some hot sauce, and it's up on the top shelf, and person number one says to person number two, "Yo, you want to get me that hot sauce up there? I want to get that Wildfire Willie's burn your O-ring out hot sauce." And the other person's like, "Well, I can't reach that hot sauce up there because I'm only this tall, I would need some tools to be able to do that for you. And the other person's like, well, I thought you loved me. I'm asking you to do something for me. I thought you loved me. Why aren't you doing that? And then the other person said, but I did, and then they feel less than and not good enough. And this person's over here all disappointed because they had this expectation that this person was going to do something for them that they simply aren't equipped to do. Okay? Make sense? Okay. And then the second example is, where's it going with this? This is going to be ridiculous. The second example is, okay, person number one, person number two, rolling down the aisle. Person number one says, you get me some of that sweet baby Jesus, burn your face off hot sauce. And the other person says, yeah, I can totally get that for you. Reaches over, grabs it, hands it to them. Oh man, I love you so much. Thank you. That was awesome. All right. And then scenario number three, person number one, person number two, you get the idea. Person number two is like, yeah, I could get you that hot sauce, but I don't think I'm gonna. I don't wanna. I can even look. I'm not gonna do that for you. Okay. So it's a ridiculous example, but I'm laying in bed this morning and I'm like hot because I've been thinking about hot sauce. I'm on fire. Okay. So, all right. So example number one, you've got person number one who's asking person number two to do something that that person simply is not equipped to do, doesn't have the tools for. Now, if person number one had said, hey, here's a step stool, here's something that you can use to actually get this for me. I'm going to give you the tools you need. And then that person decides to get the hot sauce and go up the stool. Cool. Right? Everybody's happy. Right? And then scenario number two, the expectation is that somebody can do something that they're perfectly capable of doing, willing to do, and equipped to do. Okay? Scenario number three, person number two is completely capable of doing the thing, but it's like, nope, I'm not going to do that for you. Okay? You see the difference. Okay? So, and I can use an example from my personal life because sometimes this is the way to be most relatable. Okay? So, in relationships, marriages, whatever the dynamic is, often we have expectations of our partner, okay? And we can relate this to friendships as well, family members as well, but I'll speak to the dynamic of, the partnership. We have these expectations of them to show up for us in a way that we want them to show up because it would feel good for us, but maybe we haven't given them the tools to understand how to do that, okay? That's important. Maybe we're not communicating well either. Maybe we're expecting them to show up to do something for us or to show up for us in a certain way that we need emotionally or psychologically or whatever, but we haven't communicated that in a way that helps them understand what we need. So they're in the dark and we're like, well, you should read my mind. Women, sorry, but my Canadian just came out there. Sorry. But it is maybe a little bit more typical of women to kind of want men to be mind readers, and it's like, well, you should know what I want. It's like, that doesn't work that way, okay? So we have to communicate, what is it? What is it that first of all, why do we have these expectations of the other person? And if we do, then we need to communicate that in a healthy way and give them the opportunity to decide whether or not they, want to show up that way and are able to show up that way. So, if you're in a relationship with someone, okay, who has shown you that they kind of lack the ability to understand how to be compassionate because that's just not something that they learned, and you continue to expect them to show up and be compassionate, then you're going to end up feeling very bitter and disappointed. And they're going to feel like they're not good enough. Okay? It's like asking a snail to be a racehorse. Okay? Doesn't work. You want to ask the racehorse to be the racehorse that could still decide, yeah, I'm gonna be a racehorse today, or no, I think I'm just gonna hang out with the boys in the stable and be a stallion today. So hopefully that makes sense. And there's so much more that I could say about expectations, but I think like just those little cute kind of examples with a bit of a sense of humor, have a look at if you have expectations of people in your life and they haven't met you in that, have a look at why you're expecting those things of them in the first place, right? And then maybe really be compassionate about why they're not meeting you in that. And if they're not meeting you because they're just not trying and they don't give a crap, then look at why are you in relationship with that person. That's your stuff to look at, okay? And Carrie Ann, I'm feeling it today too. I'm a little ridiculous, No, I haven't been drinking first thing in the morning. So yeah, Sheldon knows I make funny voices and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't pulled that out of the bag until today. Hopefully I'm at least entertaining you. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. So you'll have to go back because it's maybe potentially entertaining a little earlier in the video. It's up to you. So I want to talk a little bit about judgment, and I'm trying so hard to keep these morning videos a little bit shorter because, people do lose their ability to keep watching. And I'm just taking up airspace saying that. So judgment, okay? Ultimately, the key, okay, and I can say a lot about judgment, but the key is if you are judging someone else or someone else's experience or something else in your experience, whatever it is, the key is to look at what you're trying to show yourself about why you feel uncomfortable about that thing that you're judging, okay? Because it's not about the external world. Yes, this is a trigger and this is a signpost for something you need to look at inside of yourself, but it's not about that. If you're judging someone else for something, then what is it inside yourself that you're uncomfortable with that you feel the need to go into judgment on that other person and their choices and how they're operating in their life? Because hey, yes, we're all connected, but they're a separate entity than you, okay, with their own free will. All right? Why is it impacting you and bothering you so much? That's your job. Okay, now, that said, judgment is not a bad thing so long as we're being productive with it, because all of these things in our experience, even expectations, have a light side and a shadow side, okay? So if I have certain expectations of somebody, like my partner, okay, yeah, of course I'm going to have expectations, right? That's healthy. It's okay to have expectations. However, it's not healthy to hold the other person to meeting those expectations if they're not capable of or willing to meet them, okay? That's when it gets unhealthy. But having expectations is okay. The shadow side of expectations is that we set ourselves up for disappointment by expecting something that's unreasonable. We do it to ourselves too. By expecting something that's completely unreasonable, and then it's like, oh, well, now I'm disappointed. And it's almost like a purposeful self-sabotage when we do stuff like that, okay? So judgment has a light side and a shadow side too. So judgment, okay, so if I'm looking at something, like let's say, for example, one of the things that I tend to go into judgment on is when I go into a regular grocery store, and I don't really like regular grocery stores because there's all the crap in there that is just like, it's not even food. And I see, like let's say I see another mom, and I'm not saying this with judgment now, okay? This is just painting the scenario. I see another mom with a toddler in her cart, okay? And the shopping cart is filled with food items that have no nutrition, okay? There's soda pop, there's white bread, there's Twinkies, and just crap, okay? I notice that bothers me, okay? And it bothers me because I'm a mother who feels that it's my responsibility to teach my children about how to properly nourish their bodies. And in that means that I feed them food that's healthy for them so they understand, okay? And that's the taste that they develop is for healthy food. The healthy foods that are nourishing, okay? So in that, yeah, there's a little bit of judgment in that, but I'm not sitting there persecuting that mom for that, It's like, what can I do with that that's useful? That I can create a program for, you know, and I didn't study nutrition. I was in that realm, but that wasn't one of the things that I took in school. So, you know, maybe I inspire someone else and get the information I need, and I create a program to help teach young mothers or mothers how to be mindful in the grocery store. Okay. So then I can be productive with the judgment, and that it's not bad. Okay. The shadow side is if I persecute the other person and say, well, you must be a bad person. You're a terrible person. You're ignorant. You know, no, that doesn't serve. That's not okay. It's not okay to do that. You know, so if we can notice our own judgment and be productive with it and do something useful with it, then that's the useful side of that. So, you know, because all of these things that we experience can be our teachers and guides if we choose to be mindful with that. Okay. So good morning, Eric. So what do we want to do for our morning alignment before we sign off? Let's just go into our heart space. And for those of you who've joined before, you know how to do this. For those of you who haven't, I can just pop right in there. But 3 long deep breaths. And what you're doing is you're dropping your awareness from the judgmental mind space of polarized thought down into the unified field of the heart that sees everything through the lens of love. Okay, 3 long deep breaths, 5 count in, 5 count out. And then on the third breath or all the way through, think of something that feels really, really wonderful for you, really yummy for you. And then you feel that, you know, your awareness is down here, okay? So when we're being mindful, be mindful from the space of being dropped down into the lens of the heart, okay? Which is your spirit, your soul, the core of your being, that knowing that all things come from perfect love. Okay, it's important. And then we're interpreting our experience through the heart first, and the mind is more apt to see things in a more expansive viewpoint when we're interpreting through the lens of the heart. So here's the exercise. If you have someone in your experience that you feel disappointed with because you've had expectations of them that they haven't met, go into that. If you have someone in your experience that you've been judging because something that they're doing bothers you, go into that. Okay, go into your heart with it and think about that other person as a separate entity from you, and try to have a little compassion for them. Sometimes we don't have the tools or equipment to understand how to operate differently. Maybe we grew up in a family that didn't teach us how to be responsible with, you know, X, Y, and Z. Think about maybe what that experience is for that other person, that they're not showing up for you in the way that you would like to see. And you know, I'm seeing like how we throw little like temper tantrums when other people don't do what we want them to do. And it's not about them. It's about you. Okay, so that's your practice for today. And if each of you who have, I'm sure we all have, you know, people that we could be more loving toward and see through a more loving lens, loving eye. That's your goal for today, is to move through the rest of your day, focus on that relationship with that person, and focus on going into that place of aligning with, how can I love that person and how can I see that person differently? And I'd love to see some comments for those of you who do this exercise, and then see what your day looks like going into it that way. Okay, it doesn't serve us to judge one another and do this right and wrong thing, but using the judgment to notice where we can be better within ourselves is key, you know, and what can we do to help create change? You know, so hopefully all of that is useful for those of you who stuck with the video and watched. Ooh, Bodhi, hey, do you want to come say hi? Let's see if Bodhi wants to come say hi. So thank you so much, everyone, for your valuable time today. I was really on a roll because that was some good material. I loved the questions, and there's more that I'll address tomorrow. So I'm about to sign off. So for those of you who just signed on, the video will be available to watch from the beginning in a few minutes, okay? So I thank you again, and I love you all so much. Enjoy your day, and please go forward in the field of the heart and remember to be kind and compassionate and to love one another and to offer that to yourself first. Okay? I love you all. Have a beautiful day. Sheldon, I love the applause. Thank you. I feel very affirmed. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.